And good evening to all and namaste. It was a very intricate description of my life. So I hope the slides don't bore you all. But the introduction has said quite a lot of things about me. As my name is Kabir Bhogilal, and I do run a company called Unique Ability Consulting and a company called Opening New Horizons. I'm going to start sharing my slides. If you have any questions, please, as been requested, please put them in the chat. I will try and answer them as we go along. Otherwise, please excuse me, I will come back to you towards the end of the session. I think that could be a bit easier. I hope everybody can hear me and see me properly.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. I hope you can see my screen.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to shut my video off so there is no disturbance due to the video.
Sure.
So once again, thank you very much. It's an honor to be with Harshwan Advani College of Special Education. It's amazing to see all of you grow and all of you graduate, and people who have already graduated still have time to come and listen to me this evening. Thank you very much. The topic today is called Growing Up with Learning Disability. I want to quickly just change that, and let's say, let's change it a bit. Let's say it's growing up with an amazing hidden ability. Okay, I know I was requested to change the title, but since the title is what it is, I like to do my little bit to add to it. So let's, all of you, ladies and gentlemen, look at hidden abilities instead of disabilities. So as has already been said, I will not waste my time on these slides. The major fact of this slide would be, if you look at the bottom, I've been defined by my life, not through my education background. I've been defined by the person I am and the abilities I hold. And I always felt that exam results do not define you as a person. I still believe that, but I can also say that you do need a foundation, and I will definitely talk more about that in the coming slides. I have a company motto, which has already been mentioned. Learning ability is better than learning disability. And every child has a unique ability. And if it's not found yet, look for it, it will be there. I believe in this very strongly. I was the little child sitting in the back corner of a classroom, as you can see in the bottom right hand of your screen. I used to always make sure that no one asked me a question. I used to shy away because I didn't know if I got it right, and I would not know perhaps the answers. And it was always better all to stay quiet in a class because I did not have the abilities to answer or the knowledge to share with the class. So I started this motto about every child has a unique ability. And today I stand proud for it, and I will tell you through my journey. So this is me. We have done multiple assistive technology conferences with Maharashtra Dyslexia and schools around India and associations. We have also attended a READ conference, which is held by Maharashtra Dyslexia. And the introduction you have already had a listen to before. I started Unique Ability Consulting founded in 2015, but the idea started in 2014. And during the lockdown, I decided that I need to put things in perspective as I want to grow in this area. So I founded a new company called Opening New Horizons. I believe the name itself resonated with me because I was stuck in a place where every morning I was watching the sun rise over a set of mountains, and I just felt very blessed, and I thought that would be the best name possible for myself. So this is the job we have in hand. This is the jobs we do. And I hope if anybody would like to get in touch, please do after this talk. I will not go through too much of this again about our group. But if you look at the bottom line, we want to empower individuals in reaching their true potential, to guide them perhaps in new technologies in education, or also nurture and enhance their goals. It's very important for me as an individual to provide assistance and provide guidance to people who have been living with learning difficulty like dyslexia or others, or I would also like to guide parents and educators in the form of living with dyslexia. So it is something that I strive to do, and I hope I do resonate with all of you at some level tonight. I also was lucky enough to publish a book. This gentleman over here, he's a guru in dyscalculia. I'm also dyscalculic. I have issues with numbers. My retention with numbers are not the best at all, but I will explain to you how I've come through that. Steve Chin used to be a principal of mine in school. We are still in touch and we still do work together. So it was a great honor for me when he said, let's write a book together. These are the people we are linked with, and I'm very proud and happy to put your education institute there. And I hope we can do many more talks and joint work together. I've also started working with Africa. In the last year, we started doing a lot of work for awareness, and we also started doing assistive technology workshops. So that was a little background about me. It's already been said, some of this. I am a dyslexic entrepreneur. I'm very proud of it. I work, my everyday job is in the engineering space, but I'm not an engineer. It is important to explain to people that it is not needed to be book smart. You need to be street smart, and you have to have common sense. And I think engineering has taught me that considerably. In the education space, obviously because of my passion, and I wanted to start these companies, I have worked a lot with children and a lot with families in the space of SPLD. I've also, as I mentioned, run workshops in awareness, and I'm doing a lot of campaigns to promote learning difficulties as a whole subject. I've also had the pleasure of, as I said before, talk at conclaves, summits, and also last year I had the opportunity to speak on the NCERT All India site. So that was a great honor for me for working with the Indian government. So yes, these are small successes, but for every dyslexic out there, please understand, or anybody with a learning difficulty, everything can be achieved. If you look at my life as a whole, I love to create, I hope to inspire, love to lead in the right way. I use my imagination and I visualize because I am a visual learner, and I believe in myself more than I believe in anybody around me, because it is always me who has to grab the hard and the soft skills to develop and become a better person. So we're going to start off with a question. Who's seen the movie X-Men? I know I cannot see you all. So I hope that we have a few people who understand what the X-Men is. It is a movie. It's a movie which has multiple characters with multiple powers, and all these hidden talents that they do have, and powers and skills used in the right way, as we call in our field, early intervention at the right time works wonders. So I'm going to start my version of X-Men, and I hope you enjoy. I hope I did not go too fast. I hope you read all of this. I stayed silent because it was very important for you to read it yourself. It's a feeling. All of these little squares are a feeling. It is something that affected me as a child, affected my way of life, and affected the people around me or the people I was around. So I obviously there is much more than these four little colors, but it's a starting for me. And I always thought at the age of 10 that I was alone, and I decided that if I start learning and walking in small steps, I hoped that my journey would have a better outcome. So all I asked was to give me a chance. I wanted people to understand what I was going through. I wanted people to give me a chance and explain to me what I was going through. Unfortunately, these things did not really happen. So as a child of 7 or 8, I did not really have a voice. And it was hard for me to try and explain to people what I was going through. And it left me scarred in a manner that children obviously today should not be. And I hope teachers and parents out there start listening and understanding, even though your child is 7 or 8 or 6, they are saying something for a reason. So for me, it was a chance to, understand what is my potential, what is something that I have. Am I good at anything, or am I just rubbish and I'm always going to be a failure like everybody told me? I wanted to learn. I just found it hard to learn. I wanted to read and I found it hard to read. I would love to do maths, but I just could not add. So yes, I was different. And people did not want to invest time in me, did not want to invest into my life. And the major issues we faced was that the system itself was not accepting me. So it was a far-fetched conclusion that in the early 90s that we expected people to accept me if the system did not. So unfortunately, in the early 90s, I had to get on a plane because there was no space for me, unfortunately, in this country. And I flew across, I was fortunate enough, I flew across to England, where I was put in boarding school to start a new life. At the age of 10, obviously I was scared, felt alone, anxious, and rejected by the people who I thought at the end of the day would be out there to help me and guide me. But as every child, you start something new with all the things above. You still find that, there is some kind of excitement. It's not, when you look back at it now, today I'm 40 years old, and I look back at the early 90s and I think, it's the lack of awareness, it's the lack of education of educators, and it's the lack of understanding what it is that I was living with. So I think we should fast forward a bit and go on to parts of life where we started looking myself for grounding. I needed grounding. I had to understand what was I facing. And suddenly in England, I got a platform, and where I was starting to put my foundations, and I had the right people in my corner to help me, to make me understand what it is that I'm living with, and understand that, what you are trying to do may not be right. There are other methods and tips and tricks around that. So most of all, I learned what dyslexia is. I finally understood the meaning of dyslexia, because dyslexia itself, I don't know how many people can spell it out, hard word to spell, and was even harder to understand. But it was amazing to see people believe in me and given me the idea that, it's okay to be dyslexic. So this next slide, I started to develop and engage with text on the page. I started to understand numbers, which was, a very far-fetched thing for me. I started to gain knowledge on a lot of other topics. My general knowledge was okay, but my knowledge in topics, meaning subjects, started to grow because we started to be taught in a different manner. And I finally started understand in my own life that I'm not dumb and I'm not going to be a failure as long as I understand what I'm reading and writing. So let's take a pause for a minute, all of you, and just look at what I've written there. Because you all are educators, you have either come through the system or you're already in the field working. Please understand that whatever you have learned is one foundation for yourself. But what is the next foundation is interaction with the people you are with. Now, as educators, don't think about what if. Change your mind to how can I? There is time. If there isn't, make it. Because if you give that extra 5 minutes, the extra 10 minutes to a child, you are cementing more for them, even though it is taking up in your space. So my advice to you is, please sit back, give another 5 minutes, and you just see how that child will develop into the better person. At this point, I would like to say that today I stand very proud with my English teacher, who is the first gentleman I ever met, Malcolm Litton, who saw me in England. And today we stand together on a podium discussing dyslexia and helping people in assistive technology. It has been an amazing time. We worked together and it's been amazing, and he's been an amazing mentor. 25 years on, or 20 years on, we stand together and he tells people, it's today that Kabir is the one who's teaching me. It's such a great feeling for me to stand there and do this. And I'm sure if you all invest more time in the work you do and the children you have, I promise you, you don't know, one person might knock on your door one day. So as we're talking about a journey, I'm going to talk about steps. So here is a question. So how do you look at 1,000 steps and how would you climb it? Okay, so the easiest would be not to climb it and walk away. But hey, you know what? Life is not that simple. You might have to climb those 1,000 steps. Now, a child with SPLD already has a hard task, which is an uphill battle for them, for not only climbing steps, but for everything else leading up to the steps. For example, as you all know, tying shoelaces is a problem, left and right is a problem, and there are many more other examples. So look at the steps and understand what is the point of telling them to do something without the right tools. Why don't you sit back and think about what they can do and then work around with, helping them to know what they are able to achieve. So a bit of the education life I've explained. I'm going to get into a bit of the working life now. Now, if you look at life and we see how we have developed ourselves, we look at the things I've learned. One of the biggest learning is the things that I cannot do. Okay, I think in myself is the biggest achievement. Learning my strengths is a very comforting feeling now. And on the social and emotional side, made me feel part of others and accepted. Knowing what I want to do in life and how to make decisions with conviction. It's very easy to make decisions, but the conviction part is the hard part. You have to stand for what you believe in. And with a child with learning difficulties, it was very hard to stand, let alone have a decision, or let alone try to be in a conviction kind of attitude to try and tell people that, you know what, please listen to me. So this in the working life, as I went through my childhood, it helped me now today in my working life. And I've garnered these techniques in how to help yourselves and how to see, to bring the best out of you. So getting into the working world, I was given a lot of tools in my life to try and combat a lot of issues which I was thrown. If you go back to the X-Men and their powers, I believed in myself that I was good at certain things. I knew very well that I was not good at certain things, which really helped me to stay away from jobs which I was not competent for example. If I was told to go into banking, a person who can't do numbers, banking was not going to be my any help to me. So like that, I understood what I was not good at. And I made sure that I started picking jobs which I was able to use my hands and use my brain and see if it fit me. So I was convinced that whatever I needed to put in had to be 100%. Now, you've heard this line, I'm sure, by many people that you please put in your 100%. If you put in your 100%, you'll get something great out of it. Okay, hello guys. Let's wake up for a minute, people, because 100%, that's what everybody was doing. Now, for me, that's not good enough. So here am I being told put in 100% by everybody. And suddenly I'm out there in the big wide world and people are looking at me saying, I'm sorry, this is not going to work. This is not even 100%. So what I thought is 100% is nowhere near what the world was at 100%. So we had to go back to the drawing board myself and to rethink my strategy in life and try to think, what am I going to do now? Because I am not good enough, or I do not have the expertise in these certain lines to become a successful person. So back to the drawing board, scrap the game plan, which I thought, okay, I've achieved a lot of things, I've learned a lot of things, I've got all the right tools, but no, it's not that easy anymore because the world out there are already coming with things which are much better, much faster, and they have much more knowledge. So it was time to reinvent myself. I looked at myself, I looked at my life, and I said, okay, if I'm going to be in this working life, I have to start thinking about the niches. I have to start thinking about what makes me happy and what are the skills that I need upgrading in. What is important to you to develop an idea of where you want to go in life? So we come back to steps. We come back to the original slide where I showed you those small steps. So I went back to my childhood in my head, and I thought, okay, how do I develop? How do I start learning things? In those days, computers were very less used. So unfortunately for me, it was all got down to do with reading. Now, you know me and reading, it was not great friends, but I tried my best to try and learn some more skills so it would help me in the working life. At the age of 25, I returned from England to work in India. And one of the hardest things was to learn the Indian way of business. I learned certain things. I learned certain ways which I was taught in England. But when you come to India, the world is even twice as big. There's so much to learn. There's so much experience out there. And it is, a cutthroat life. So my hardest part was to learn the Indian way of business. Being a person with a picture memory and multitasking skills, I went to factories. I learned all hands-on training. I never used any books because I just believed if I invested time in learning a certain way, I hoped I would pick it up. So today, if I look back at it, I spent around 5 years on the factory floor. I understood what I needed to get out of all of this, and I got my hands dirty and I learned without even touching one book in engineering. So is that a good way or a bad way? It is my way. I can't comment on others, but it is definitely my way, and I'm happy for the way I went about it. So let's get back, as I mentioned, steps. Let's get back to steps again. Okay. I hope you had that in the back of your mind. If you had 1,000 steps to climb, how do you go about it? Now, please imagine, I'm not that child anymore. Now we're back in adultcy. Okay. So now you have much more in your hand. Okay. So we can say, if you do not climb, but you walk away, you will never know what's waiting at the top. Okay. I know this line sounds a bit cheesy, and I know perhaps you've seen it in forwards and you've seen them all around, but think about it. Now you have the idea, you have the knowledge, you have garnered a certain understanding of the way of life. And then you go into the next thing, where you can find someone to carry you, get into a lift if there is one, or just get in a helicopter if you have one, and get to the top. I know those are all funny ways of explaining the choice is yours, but never give up trying, because whatever way you do get up there, it is your choice. And if you choose not to get up there, it is your choice, but then face the consequences if there are going to be. So I leave it up to you as education people who are ready to impart knowledge into children or into families. Think about, if they are not able to do something, do not walk away. Try your best, and even your best may not be good enough. But as long as you have tried and they've understood what you have said, some people don't. I've worked with a lot of families and it's very hard. It's not easy. I've worked with a lot of children and it's very hard. I know that. But all I can do is keep trying, because I believe that if I have done my best, even though it is 150 or 200%, I've still done my best. So the real question is there 1,000 steps to climb? Or has someone just told you? What do I mean by this? There are a lot of people who are there to give you counsel. There are a lot of people out there to give you opinions. There are a lot of people out there to be negative. There are a lot of people out there who will hold you and support you and guide you. It's up to you, once again, as educators, to see what is best suited for you, what is best suited for the child, and what is best suited for the family. I, once again, appreciate that you have gone down a path of education, and I commend you all. But I please have to tell you that your education is one part of your life. Your life experiences is going to be a much bigger part of your life. And when you start dealing and interacting with children or families, you will have to do 100 times or 200 times more than you ever learned in a book. Because I promise you that you give that extra effort, it will reward you. It will give you that satisfaction, maybe not today, at some point, it will give you that reward. It comes to a point where I say, find your path, make it yours and only yours. Don't expect to walk down other people's path, make it yours. Don't worry about other people's steps. Don't worry about other people. Think about yourself. Think about what you can put into children. Think about if you are doing something negative, it's going to be sucked up by that child. It's going to be kept by that child. And there's going to be resentment. Maybe not for you directly, but for the topic you are talking about. My advice to all of you is, think that everything you are doing is getting watched 100 times by someone else. And a child, as you know very clearly, is watching you because they have no one else to learn from. They're learning from you because you are with them on a one-on-one session or a one-on-two or one in a class. They're watching you because you are the educator. Do not get into a situation where I was as a child, where I had to run away because I thought school was the worst thing in my life and the teachers are the worst things I could ever have around me in my world, which changed when people and attitudes changed. So going back to SPLD, if you look and you understand things that people around you are working on very hard and trying to develop children, um, children with SPLD are always thinking out of the box. You know, they're always looking at ideas and ways and means to try and achieve their goals. I expect teachers to think out of the box and teach these children, because trust me, there's so much more fun to get out of that box of the general routine, and promise you that children will start shining in front of you, and that will give you happiness. Just dig a little bit deeper, and children itself will make you shine. You don't need to shine yourself. Like today, I stand, as I said, proudly with my teacher. I look at him and I said, wow, what a mentor. And today when he stands in front of an audience and he says, you know what, today I'm learning from Kabir himself, it just makes me feel so proud that I've achieved perhaps his goal, and today I've achieved a certain goal I wanted to. So here we go. We talk about more steps. I'm not obsessed about the steps, but I think that small steps is very important. And these are my steps, ladies and gentlemen. These are not steps that have come from anywhere. They're mine. They're solely mine, and I would love to share it with you. So let's take step number one. You all have one life. Yeah, make the most of it. Whatever you do, however you transpose yourself as an educator, as a parent, you have one life. Make it the most, because you don't know whose life you're going to be changing. Have dreams. It's amazing to have dreams. I had a lot of dreams, but they were only dreams. I had to make them achievable. And to make them achievable, I worked so hard. I suffered terribly, but I made dreams achievable. Challenge yourself. I am my best critique, or I am my worst critique, but I admit to myself that I am a critique about myself. I've accepted the fact that the people out there, they can judge me, they can talk down to me, they can, you know, commend me for all the things I've done well. But at the end of the day, it is about me, and about me being a child who has come through this path I've taken you all on. And I'm my best critique. And so at this point in life, I would say, I think I've done pretty well. Path, well, I mentioned the path. Follow one that you want to. Don't think about others. Don't think about shoes that you need to fill. Think about your own path. And as an education fraternity that you all are, this whole community that you all live in is about changing people's lives. So think about it. Self-confidence and self-esteem. Two things that I believe very, very strongly in. And I know it comes from within, because for me itself, it is something that I talk about publicly, and I also help a lot of children and families in this when I do my counseling work. It is very important to give that confidence to a child. It is very important to have that self-esteem, which is driven from within. You cannot impart that in somebody. You have to let them shine from inside. You have to let them grab those opportunities, let go of the ones which are going to harm them, but they need to do it themselves. They need that confidence, and that is the stepping stone that you could give them as educators and make them grow. So when in the working life, everybody talked about goals and talked about, oh, you need to achieve this. Look at the company you're working with, see how they are. And okay, it's all great. It's great conversation, but you know what, ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest. I'd rather be goal orientated and not achievement orientated. Achievement itself was hard for me, but I set myself goals and then I achieved them. Or I did not achieve them, then I reinvented myself and then tried to achieve them. Okay, so in the education fraternity, try and achieve a better living for a child. That is the only thing you can do. and do the best in what you have garnered through your whole life. Be positive and stay happy. Two very critical things, ladies and gentlemen. You have to be positive and you have to stay happy. I know you might be thinking, oh, these are just little words that he says, but it is very happy. It's very happy to know that I am happy. I'm very happy in myself. I'm very proud with myself, and I'm very excited that I can be positive for other people, even though, as I've just gone through very swiftly with my life story in front of you. So as I said, these are not steps only for dyslexic children. These are steps can be applied for anyone in life. I have presented to many around the country, and I solely believe that it is important for people to understand themselves, and it's very important for educators to understand and to go one step further always, because it is always different from a small child sitting in front of you who has to look up at you. All you need to do is just kneel down and look at them in the eye, and it just makes them happier. You will stop being intimidating, and you will just start talking about, I'm at your level, let's have that conversation. So I know all in the digital world, everybody knows about Control, Alt, and Delete. If you don't, it's something on a keyboard which you do, and then you can shut everything down. So, you get all these forwards in WhatsApp or in LinkedIn. So I thought I can pick a few of these, which you all have perhaps seen before. This was an interesting one where it talks about control yourself, alter your thinking, and delete negativity. I thought it was amazing to see that people are playing with words here. And I think it is very important if you look in the context of what we've been talking about tonight. Then one evening, I received one of these messages, and it says, as long as you believe in yourself, there will always be a way for you. I think that sums up my talk just now. I think this is very crucial in trying to understand that you need to make your path, as I've kept on saying. And I think it is very important that if you believe in yourself, you will be able to carve that path as well for yourself. So I have to bring in Winston Churchill, because he had many words, right or wrong is up for debate for all of you. But one of the things that I was told a long time ago in England was, courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. I was very scared, as you saw in the initial slides, to even talk. I was very scared as a person to try and describe himself or describe a topic. Then this line itself says, it's also what it takes to sit down and listen. After my life as a child, I started understanding that I could stand up and I had a voice. I also learned in the working world that I can sit down and listen too. And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, both together are a lethal combination and a beautiful tool in your hand. I was sent this next little picture. It's of a child. And I remember myself playing with numbers, trying to understand numbers. And I just wish that someone would give me maths in my hands in those days. Perhaps I would have been a different person. But try, just give things in children's hands. Use those motor skills. Try and get children engaged, not only with text, with you, with playing something, with feeling something, with understanding what else is out there besides just paper and pencil. So this is something also resonated very deeply with me when it says, meet your child where they are not, where the world expects them to be. Now, the world expects us all to be in a certain place. We have a lot of external pressures, but children today itself are at much more pressure than perhaps when I was a child, because the world did not have much knowledge about what I was going through. But today, with the knowledge, people use it for the good and for the bad. So please, ladies and gentlemen, try and come down to their level and have that conversation. Your only limit is you. Yes, I totally agree. I limit myself. I do not limit myself, but it's up to me. So on these few words, you know what? I want to say thank you very much. It's been an honor to share my story with all of you. These are my details. I will forward them to the administrator to forward on to you if you need. I'm going to stop sharing now, and I will just say a few more words. 1 minute, when I'm in front of you. So, ladies and gentlemen, sorry I had turned my camera off, but I hope you all understand. A journey is self-made. It's your journey. Whatever you do, it's up to you. There are a lot of external pressures out there, as I've said before, and there are a lot of people who try and strive to be something that perhaps they're not. They try to be something that other people want them to be. But I've learned through my little journey, as I've explained to you just now, hardship is there for everybody. Happiness is there for everybody. It's what you take out of your life. And I've done pretty well in myself. I've started 2 companies and very proudly in the education space. I'm 4th generation in an engineering company, which is 130 years old. I have around 2,000 employees. I'm not an engineer. I love business. I love growing people. I love working with people. And I love the fact that people have given me the opportunity to come into their lives and taught me, even though it is hands-on and it is being physical presence. I think it is important for me to say to all of you is, once again, give that child, give that parent much more in their hands as tools. And I promise you, one day you'll be sitting back and you will say to yourself, oh yes, I've done that. I've achieved that. And I've made someone else's life happier. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful session. Now, I would request Joyla, SY student of HEXA, to post the feedback link. Please do respond to it without fail. Your feedback is very important for us. Now, I request Renuka, SY student of HEXA, to ask the questions which were posted in the chat box.
So the first question was posted was, if you're okay discussing, then I want to know when did you first realize or were told that you have LD? How exactly was it explained to you? Secondly, when were you ready to share with others that you have LD?
Okay, so there's 2 parts of this question. Obviously, I will deal with the first part because that is the start of life. So let's understand the first part. The first part, when did I know and when was it explained, right? I was told at the age of 7 that I had a problem. Okay. The problem was never explained. I was just told I had a problem. So when I asked, what is the problem? There was no answers. So then I asked, okay, how do I overcome my problem? And the reply I got in those days was, sorry, we cannot help you. Okay. So what is learning difficulties? What does it mean? Or you're just, you know, you can't read, you can't write. You've heard the teachers, they called you dumb. You might be a failure. Okay. So is that what learning disability means? That I'm a failure, I'm dumb, I cannot read, I cannot write, and I definitely cannot do maths. Okay. So LD means I'm dumb. All right. Okay. So at the age of 7, obviously you don't know any better. And you go around thinking, okay, so I'm dumb. Now, if I'm dumb, then what do? Am I always going to be dumb? Am I always going to be stupid? Am I ever going to read? What am I going to do in life? There's no point crying about it in those days. I never cried. I just tried to understand myself. I mean, what is dumb? I mean, what does it mean? And what is meant that I'm a failure? I've not even started my life. How can I be a failure? I'm just 7 years old. Okay, so second part is of the first part of the question is, when I got to England, as I mentioned in my slides, I started understanding what learning difficulties are. And I started understanding this complicated word called dyslexia, which was very hard to spell. And I was just like, my God, if it's so hard to spell, how the hell am I going to even understand it? But it was a process. It was an understanding of what are you and who are you, and I'll tell you where your problems are. And that's how it worked. And that's how I knew exactly what dyslexia, dyscalculia. There's so many beautiful words we have underneath our umbrella in neurodiversity. So I don't want to get into all of them, but that is the way it had to be taught. You cannot just read it and understand it, because you have to use examples. You have to tell your students that, you know what, you cannot read doesn't mean you're dumb. You know, you're not dumb, you have problems, you cannot get the words right, you cannot get the flow right, you cannot get, there's many things out there. And today with technology, it's so much easier. Second part of the question, which says, let me just have a quick read. So when was I ready to share that I had LD? I never stopped sharing. I started, once I learned what dyslexia was, I used to tell everybody. Because you know what? I think I was smarter because they did not know what dyslexia was. Now, please understand, I know how to spell this word, okay? Please think about the people out there who said, sorry, what did you say? I said dyslexia. What is dyslexia? I said, can you spell it? No, I don't even know the word. Wow. So here we go. As a 10-year-old, as an 11-year-old, once again, I knew much more. And the adults out there didn't know anything. And automatically, I was like, okay, so I'm happy to go and tell everybody that I am going to be, you know, this dyslexic child who's learning differently, who reads differently, who writes, my writing was okay, but who definitely does maths very differently. Yeah, I think I'm smarter now. Okay, so it started actually, if you want a specific answer to your question, the answer is from the age of 11, 12. That's when I started telling people that, you know what, I'm dyslexic. This is why I left the country. And this is why I think I am who I am. Right? With the first few colors you saw in those slides, I am who I am, and I am who I am, and no one can change that. So it is this. And I also started, when I came back to India, learning that I was in a path in my life where I said, okay, I'm working well, earning money, enjoying life, but I need to do more. So what is meant by doing more? Why not start a company? Why not just try and help more people to understand what this complicated word is? So I started these two companies. And at the age of 11, I wrote an article for a magazine, which was, this is how I spelt it, because this is how I heard it. So that article I wrote when I was 12 years old, and obviously it was called dyslexia. And I used and played with the words, and I wrote this at the age of 12. So today I share this with people because they start reading and they're like, oh my God, what's going on here? This guy is clearly not dumb or a failure. And I'm happy for that. So that, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. So, sir, the third question is, are there any support groups in Mumbai for parents with children with learning disability?
In Mumbai, there are many support groups. There are groups from associations. As I said, Maharashtra Dyslexia Association is one of them, who I work with very closely. There are other centers out there. Your center itself also does a lot of work for advocacy. So there are many out there. It is one guiding point is, please understand about what you need to know. You can't go into a doctor and ask him, oh, you know what, my stomach is hurting, so can you give me something for my head? Right? You have to be very clear in what you are asking. You go to the right place to get the right medicine. I'm not saying that learning difficulty is a medicine. Okay, so please don't ever think that I'm quoting that. What I'm trying to say is there are a lot of people out there, and companies like ours will help and guide you and take you down to the right people as best as we can, because there's so much information and there's so much lack of awareness that makes families and people so confused about this whole topic of neurodiversity. And they're like, oh my God, you know what? I'd rather not know anything. I'd rather be just, not having any knowledge because I'm not understanding a word. So there are a lot of places, but I would choose the guidance, the right guidance to go into the right places. That's my answer to that question.
Okay, sir. So the next question is, does Unique Consulting guide parents with children with learning disability?
Yes, we will guide people with learning difficulties. We will work with them, with the families and children and educators, in helping them how, not on a basis of being a special educator, not on the basis of being a psychiatrist or any of these other professional functions. We are here to teach and impart knowledge into you about living with dyslexia or living with a disability that you have, or bettering your home, bettering your family, and giving you that joy of living with someone who has a learning difficulty. That's what we would champion, if it is anything I could say on that.
Okay, sir. So the next question is, according to you, what is more important and should be a first step? People to be sensitized about the challenges faced by the child, or the child receiving a support to stay strong and believe in himself or herself and continue working in progress?
I think the person who asked the question has also answered the question. I think it is very clear. First, it is paramount that you have to sensitize the situation. It doesn't matter whatever the disability is, start sensitizing the people around it. Okay? Because as I said, it is no point calling me a failure and not telling me why I'm failing. You need to explain to me what's going on with me, then I can start changing myself. But if you don't explain and you just keep on telling me that I'm a failure, it's not going to help. So as you rightly say in your question, sensitize the people around, whoever is in the closest circle. I mean, that's the first thing we do, right? So for example, I'm just giving a hypothetical example. If we're talking about a child, then take the parents or the guardians around that child. And also, which is very important, ladies and gentlemen, take care of the sibling. The sibling might be an achiever, might be an overachiever, and this could cause the major problem of insecurity, self-esteem, and the rest of it. So the inner circle is very important for sensitization. Start working with the families, then get to the child. Okay. Second part of what you said, the child receiving support is going in conjunction with, once the sensitization is, you think, is done at the best of your abilities. Okay. Because not everybody will understand, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you that for free. Not everybody is going to understand. Neither are people are going to be bothered about what you say in entirety. So let's be honest, pick your champion in that little inner circle, work with that champion. Don't start beating your head with the person who's not going to listen to you. Okay. You have to be clear that there will be one champion, we hope, within that family or that unit that can actually drive people to change their mindset. And then coinciding with that, start working with a child and say, you know what, we are going to work together, and your inner circle is going to support us together. Not support you, support us together. This us and you and me and it and all of this is very important words to a child. Okay, it's very important. So choose your words correctly, ladies and gentlemen, on this. But the next part is then obviously it's a work in progress, as you rightly say. It is important for children, families to go down that path together. It is very important, because if they are left alone, there's going to be a problem. I was lucky enough to find people who took me in. Unfortunately, it was not in India, but I still love this country and I'm here. I'm doing as much as I can in my entirety of life to try and educate and give them the know-how on learning difficulties. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. So the next question is, what modifications can be done for more career opportunities for children with learning disability?
So there is a sad part and a happy part to this answer. Okay, I'm always going to start with the happy part because I like to be happy. So let's start with the happy part. In the working life, people today in India look very clearly at results. Okay. Now here is someone sitting in front of you this evening telling you that my results are terrible. Okay. The happy part of what I'm going to say is it's your skills. It's what you're enthusiastic to do within your job. Be okay to tell people that, you know what, I think I can do this. I think I can do this better. I think I can achieve my goals within this space. Don't be ashamed to do it and say it. The sad part is that to get into that door, everybody only looks at the results. As a company that I run, I look at people as people, and then I start thinking about skills, meaning results. So to be on the career path, start talking about your skills, stop talking about your results. If you're in the door for an interview, start talking about who you are and what you want to do for that company. Talk about what you think you could achieve for that company. Don't just show your grade mark sheet and just hope that this guy will just let you in, which in most of the case, unfortunately, they do. So look for the jobs where you think you can shine. Don't look for the jobs which are just out there. Look for what you want to get into your career. And the sad part of it all is that we are in a world where everything is result orientated. So you have to start, as I've said before, start finding your niches, because that is very important. Because a job to earn money is very simple. To enjoy what you do is hard. You all, ladies and gentlemen, who are out there, have chosen this path to help children and help people in their lives. You chose this path, and I commend you for it. And I love it that you all are here today and you're listening to a child or an adult who has gone through this hellhole of life, and I'm sharing this journey with you. But as educators, it is very important that you all are going to be touching someone's life, and you have to be very clear in why you're doing it. So when it comes back to the question, there has to be a lot done in the working life in this country to help people like us who have hidden disabilities, as I call them, to achieve their goals. So I hope there will be a shift, and I'm doing my best in the working life to try and educate people in this. And when I sit in the forums, I do at whatever level I can, I try and do it. So just because of you mentioned something about a career, I very proudly say to all people out there that, you know, when I did a talk for NCERT, I am 1 in a billion people in this country. They found me, so they must have found me for a reason. So the question is that everybody will find you if they need to find you. So just do your best, and just at the end of the day, your career, make it your own. So I hope that answers that question. I know I went a bit around the bush on it, but I hope it answers your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Swati, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Renuka. And now I request Ms. Joel, SY student of XA, to present the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank our speaker, Mr. Kabir Bhogilal, for teaching us important life lessons all through this session. There were many takeaway points. I hope I can summarize them by doing justice to the talk that we've had today. Firstly, I would like to thank you, sir, for never shying away from opening to others at the age of 11, as well as to us today, the doors to your good as well as not so good childhood memories, and giving us an honest insight into what it was growing up with learning disabilities. In a social media dominated world today, where self acceptance is highly preached only to increase likes and views, it was really refreshing to hear someone speak and share their lived reality and journey from external rejection, internal confusion, to self discovery and self acceptance. Thank you for giving us a refreshing perspective about how learning ability is a better way to address it than learning disability. Every student has a unique ability, and if we as teachers have not found it yet, I hope that we can look for it and we'll find it there. Along with this, it's important for one to be street smart rather than having book smartness. Along with that, they need to have common sense as well, as education plays a way smaller role in teaching us in comparison to our life lessons and experiences. Everything is achievable, but it's important for us to believe in me and myself. And it's important for us to focus on the goal rather than achievements, as well as to reinvent these goals times and again. All we need to do as teachers is to give our students a chance, help them make their decisions with conviction. And along with these points, the thoughts that were put forth regarding how does one go about climbing 1,000 steps is surely a most memorable takeaway, along with your personal 7 steps of being a proud dyslexic. Though the session was about growing up with learning disability, the points mentioned by you, sir, will surely help persons with or without learning disabilities. I hope we can implement these thoughts into our practice as educators and find the unique abilities in our students by giving them a chance. Thank you for helping us realize the importance of being self-aware by acknowledging our weaknesses and strengths equally. We will surely adapt the how can I mindset rather than what if. Thank you for helping us realize that we need to be the teachers that make our students feel safe and encouraged to attend school and learn rather than being the reason of avoidance. May we too believe in ourselves and make a path for ourselves and our students in the years to come. Lastly, sir, I would like to thank you for being extremely honest all through the Q&A session and shedding light on the practical reality of what we need to expect once we step out into our working lives tomorrow. Along with thanking our speaker today, I would like to extend a big thank you to CCYM and Hacksay team for organizing this session. Thank you, Aisha, for beginning the session on a prayerful note. Thank you, Devansh, for the brief introduction of our speaker. Thank you, Swati, for anchoring. And thank you, Renuka, for handling Q&A. I would like to end by thanking each one of you in the audience for being such active participants. Thank you all.
And
Well,
thank you to Nisha Kutti for organizing this.
Yes.
Right. So it was really wonderful, Kabir, to have you, and we are going to bother you again and again and rope
No
you
problem.
in.
Anytime.
Yeah. So thank you so much. And really, goals and not achievement. That's my take home point today. So thank you so much.
You know what? Just hearing Joel, I think it was speaking. It was
Joel. Yeah.
Yes, Joel, your camera is off. I guess you do not want to show yourself. But Joel, it's there you are. Thank you very much. So are you? Can I ask you? Are you a student who is passing out, or you're an ex-student, if I may ask?
So we're just the batch that's about to pass out.
So amazing. And that is why you're so attentive and you have all the notes. Well done on this. But no, you know, I just wanted to say something. It is very, you know, it's a great honor for me to do this. I love working with children. I love working with families. And most of all, it's great to work with all of you who, many like you, who come out of the system. I've heard many people say, you know what, Kabir, I have not learned so much. I need life experiences. And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, when you work with children, you'll get life experiences, okay? I'm a father of 2 children. One is 10 and one is 7. And trust me, they teach me a lot. Every day, every minute, they teach me. And my daughter very clearly knows I'm rubbish at maths. She does not come to me. She does not bother me with maths. She goes to her mother to do maths. She knows I'm rubbish at it. She knows I'm not a good artist, so she doesn't come to me for art. She goes to her mom. They come to me for the hands-on work. They come to me for, if it is, knowledge, so we do exercises together. They come to me for sport. So why I share all this with you is because even children today understand. We did not in the early 90s, but today they know much more than me, you, and anybody else who's in this age group, okay? They know much more, and they grab much faster because knowledge is their power, which is something that we all lacked. So if knowledge is their power, one takeaway, please, all of you have, it is you all who is imparting knowledge. So whatever you give is what they're going to take, and they're going to hold it onto them till someone else tells them something better or something worse. So once again, I wish you all the very best, and I hope one day we all could meet in an open forum and have a chat, because that would be great. So madam, it's all up to you to organize that. I leave that in your ball.
Yes,
And the court.
obviously, we'll take it ahead for sure.
Okay. So thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Now I request all the participants to switch on your camera for group photograph.
Thank you, Swati.
It's lovely to see faces behind names. This is the digital world, clearly.
Let us know when done.
Okay, thank you, Shifali. Now I request host to end this meeting. And once again, thank you all very much. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Stay safe. Hope to see you
You
soon.
too. Bye, Kabir.
Thank
Bye,
you.
sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.